today we have another Ready to Love review. Now, this is season 8, I think, episode 3. I'm a little late with episode 3 because I happened to be out of town last weekend, but I did watch it and I enjoyed it. I think this season is shaping up to be pretty good already. So the first thing that we see is deliberation with the ladies, and Tommy's telling them, you know, get deeper and take these men and do something that I guess showcases your personality. Basically do something that you actually want to do is what I got from it. So you see a bunch of group dates. The first one is with Mark Anthony, Mercedes, Blake, and Suann. Now, there are a few sparks flying, it seems, with Mark Anthony and Mercedes, and they have a little connection, being that, you know, Mark Anthony's trying to be a pilot, he's in pilot school, and Mercedes is a flight attendant, so I guess schedules and things like that match up, and they enjoy each other. Blake and Suann are in another part, and they're chit-chatting away. I do not get a warm, fuzzy feeling from Blake. He seems very dry. He seems very, like, I don't want to say clinical. It's more like transactional. Like, I'll say something that sounds cute because you women like that, right? Like, that's what I get from him. Like, even with the whole Susu thing, I was like, yeah, I wasn't into that. So anyway, that was that group date. The next one was with Cynthia and Andre. That was a one-on-one date, and they did like I guess like a paint and sip type thing. And so then they get to talking and they're getting all vulnerable, and then Cynthia actually cries. She seems very genuine, and I think that with the show being the way it is and the premise of the show and just how people tend to be by the end of it, you kind of forget people do come in here sometimes being genuine. Sometimes they really do want to find something real, and they have real feelings, they're being vulnerable, and they're doing it the way that, you know, they market it to us as intentional. But Cynthia really did give me a genuine feeling when she was starting to cry about like how, you know, she's had to have a shield up and she doesn't want to be that way, and, you know, hoping that the next person she's with can be patient with her and letting her show that softness and things like that. So that was a cool experience, and Andre did respond, I think, well to it, and he was, you know, comforting her as she cried, and he was like, I'm not gonna, you know, betray that vulnerability, and I appreciated him saying that. Then we have another one-on-one date with Fabrice and Corvea. He went in on her. Like, they did this little bike riding thing, and he was just like, you're disingenuous. He really implied that she's just superficial, and she... The funniest thing about that was that at the end he was like, I mean, you're pretty, so if I were that pretty, I'd probably do the same thing. I was like, that's not a compliment. Oh, that was terrible. Oh, it was awkward watching him say all those things to her, like to her face. It's just like, you clearly do not like her as a human, like at all. So yeah, that date, needless to say, did not go well. It seems like a lot of guys feel that way about her. Like, this is not a one-off situation. Like, she's kind of been consistently in the bottom because the guys seem to just not like her. And I don't think it's just the, oh, I want a guy who has money thing. I think people think that she's stupid and superficial. Like, that's what they seem to be giving. Like, a lot of the guys have her in the bottom most weeks. And it's only episode 4. But this is the women's week to eliminate a guy, so, you know, she's safe for another week at the very least. So then we have another group date. It's Marcia, Morgan, Lyndon, and Tony, and I guess each are feeling each. So Tony's feeling Marcia and Morgan. Lyndon is also feeling Marcia and Morgan. Morgan says she's never been in love before, talking to Tony. That's a very interesting thing at her age. I think she's like, what, late 30s, maybe 40? I don't know. But she said she's never been in love. And that made me think, I wonder if she's the one that Tony says, well, if you've never been treated right by a man, honey, that's not my fault. Like, I wonder if that, because that has happened in the previews. I'm like, I wonder if that's the lady he says that to, because it seems like that could track. And then Marcia and Lyndon are talking, and he tries to get a little kissy face with her, and she was like, no. We're not on that type of time right now. Like, we're not even that cool yet. And he was like, oops, misread the signal. So that certainly came up in deliberation. Jeffrey and Demario went horseback riding. I didn't really get anything from that date, except that Jeffrey has a really high-pitched voice. So does Mercedes. So then we get a solo date with Jonique, Miss City Girl, and Lyndon, and they went wine tasting. Yeah, like I, again, didn't get anything from that date. Both of them were just on the same theme that Tommy was setting up at the beginning of the episode. Do something that y'all like to do, you know, be a little more forthcoming about your life than you normally would. Like, that's literally all these dates have been, so snaps and claps for them. But I have not, these two were just a little snooze fest for me. So then we get to deliberation. By the way, so Marcia comes in with this red hair, and I think it is gorgeous on her. She looks so good with it. Then Jeffrey tells a story about how Blake is apparently smitten with her and is checking her about who she's going on dates with, and he's really not even interested in doing this process no more because he's found his girl, and he gotta fake and tell these girls what they want to hear, so he can stay in the process. So that came up. I can't tell if she's telling the truth on that. I have no idea if she's telling the truth on that. They do these things that are off camera, so of course you don't have receipts about it. It happened in a phone conversation, so unless you just recorded it while he was saying it, like, oh, you are saying some wild stuff, press record, because no one's gonna believe it. Like, unless you did all that, it's a clever way to lie. I will say that. Again, no idea if she's telling the truth or not. I wouldn't put it past Blake, but I would think it's more likely for him to not want anybody. Not that he just suddenly up and chose Jeffrey. But it is a creative way to lie because there's no way to prove it. It's really just he said, she said. Like, I could say you said a thing, and because this happened off camera and there's no receipts about it, like, how are you gonna check me on it? So, who knows? Maybe that'll come up later. I mean, it comes up later in the next episode. But I don't know if it's gonna come up after the next episode. So, then the eliminations, Marcia takes Fabrice out, and immediately he comes in and he's like, the biddies are out. And she's like, don't say that to me. This is why you're not ready to love. Goodbye, Fabrice. And then Sue-Ann takes Blake out and tells him, you know, you're kind of on the bottom too. And he was like, yeah, that tracks. I kind of expected that. But then she tells him about this whole thing that Jeffrey says, and he's like, I am shocked and I am hurt. I don't think he up and said, like, she is lying. Wait, maybe he did. I think he said something like, she's never been on my list or something like that. So, yeah. But he didn't have as much shock as I would have expected. But again, he's very, like, dry. So I don't consider him an emotional person to even get angry in a normal way. So, who knows? That was that on that episode. Fabrice got eliminated. And so in the previews, there's like this yacht party. Jonique is crying on Tony's shoulder. The guys are arguing about using their little lifeline pass, which the women also have. That's one thing that happened in deliberations. Somebody kissing somebody, and then they do bring up the Jeffree and Blake situation. And yeah, no receipts to be had. But that is it for episode 3. I am going to do episode 4 here in a sec. So stay tuned, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.